What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Brujo 101. I am your host, Martin Moreno, and I am joined by my lovely co-host, Thanya, a.k.a. Ashe. ¿Cómo estás, Thanya?
Muy bien, ¿cómo estás? I see the puberty's kicking in.
I know, my voice is changing, right? I'm all grown up. And we have a guest today, Lilia Morales, also known as Planta Humana, Human Plant, Humi for short.
Hi, everyone.
Get closer to that microphone. You're so soft-spoken. It's so cute.
It's so cute, but nobody will hear you.
Yeah. Get up in there. Get up in there. No te asustes. Lilia, it's good to have you here. And actually, before we even get started, how the hell are you, Thanya? You were feeling under the weather the last time you were here. Are you better?
I'm a lot better.
You sound better.
I'm a lot better. Yeah, it didn't turn into, I think I told you, they told me it was going to turn into pneumonia, walking pneumonia. Did I tell you? So they were like, yeah, if you don't cure yourself soon, it's going to be full-blown pneumonia.
And then that chicken fucking took it.
And no, legit, like I did the Western thing. I did the Eastern thing. It wasn't a chicken, it was a dove. And here I am.
Oh, there
you go.
Nice.
Doves cure COVID, people.
I didn't have COVID.
I'm kidding.
Nobody
Not
messaged
you.
me.
And anyway, and Lilia, ¿tú cómo estás? How are you? How is, this post-pandemic world treating you?
It's good. I
Yeah.
mean, it's definitely a shock, but honestly, I'm making it work, so that's what matters.
Let me just let people give people a little bit background on your story. Like, I met you through Rafa and the dudes over there in Boyle Heights, and found out that you are a you're a Reiki healer. And we had you on Yo a while back. I feel that you are a whole different human being since that last interview. So much has happened, and I only know this because I follow you on social media. And you went from being a resident of Southern California to all of a sudden living in Hawaii during the pandemic, peak pandemic, and you're out there communing with nature and things, and just posting all these I don't want to say woke things because that just sounds like such an insult and such a cliche, but a very evolved perspective on life. A lot of the posts that you were posting were like, what the hell is going on over here? This chick is going through a big transition, a big, evolution. What the hell happened that you found yourself on the Big Island during the pandemic in mid-COVID?
Yeah, thank you. I'm a whole new plant now. Yeah, so I think 2019, I met my friend Katie, and we planned to go to Hawaii, and it kind of just happened. I was praying that God make a way for me, and I actually got to go. My job closed, and then I told my friend Katie, like, this is our time to go to Hawaii, and then her uncle actually bought us tickets to Hawaii. So it was kind of just, it was meant to happen. And then we found ourselves there March 2020. So we actually landed March 11th. I think it was the first day of the panic of COVID. And we were
shut
there.
down on the 15th, I think. Is that correct? I think sounds like that, yeah.
Yeah, because a few days later, everything, like the toilet papers were gone. Yeah, and then we landed in Maui. That's where we stayed the whole time. We met a lot of soul family there.
Soul family. What is soul family?
Soul family, like people that get you on a soul level. It's nothing like materialistic, nothing, they just get you, and it's like an unspoken bond. That's what it means to me, at least.
Okay. And so you met the soul family, and now you're in Maui, and you're there for. Do you have a round trip ticket, or do you have a one-way ticket? What's going on?
No, we just got one-way tickets, and we were just hoping to find people who will take us in. We were also doing couch surfing.
Did you see Tanya's face?
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I had you up the soul family. I was like, oh, that's so nice. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were really just going at
Just winging it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
It worked out fine. We met two guys there that were living there long term in the island, and then we ended up staying. I don't think a lot of people actually know the details of Hawaii. They just think like, oh, she went to Hawaii living her best life, whatever, you know, the cliche things. But
luau's and coconuts on the beach.
No, it was nothing like that. I mean, we definitely were close to nature because we got there, we met some guy, and he allowed us to stay at the beach land, and it was the sovereign land, that's what they called it. And that's where 2 Maui locals stayed there. And one, her name is Moana. She's an elder. And Papa, he's part of the royalty, like the Hawaiian royalty. He's the king of Hawaii, and he has...
the current king of Hawaii?
No. There's many kings. There's many lineages of royalty, and he's one of them.
Got it. Okay.
He has trust and land grants showing proof that he owns some of the land in Hawaii. And they welcomed us into the land, and we were staying in a yurt tent that fit like 13 people. It was 10 of us at the end of the day, and we were just there.
In a what tent? I'm sorry, what kind of tent?
A yurt tent.
A yurt.
The big one.
So you're staying in this, hold on.
At this beach.
With 10 people that you just met?
No, they were our friends, like 10 friends from LA.
Okay, 10 friends from LA.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
well, I don't know if that's better. I still don't want to stay
I
in
know,
a yurt.
right?
I still don't want to stay in a yurt with 10 people, but go ahead, girl, go ahead. Okay. People should know the bathroom situation is what?
Yeah. It was on the ground.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's like a beach with no porta potties or anything. We're like pretty much just straight from LA, city people living on the land kind of thing. And the 2 guys that took us in were pretty surprised, actually. They were just like, wow, you guys got acclimated really quick, you know, because you guys are from LA. They probably thought we were gonna be like, ew, pooping on the ground, but we were just like, all right,
so you're
this is what it
composting
is.
your poop?
Yeah, pretty much. And then we made sure to obviously toilet paper, you know.
Or it was a pandemic, but okay.
Yeah.
I've been out in the wilderness where I was on a rafting trip where they took a thing and they'd call it Oscar, and it was this bucket, and they would compost the poop. You know, you'd go out and you'd poop in the woods. Yeah. I mean, is that what? It's pretty raw, dude.
I mean, we dug holes on the sand ground and we just pooped.
I mean, I've been to Cuba and the bathroom situation's really bad. And I've been to Mexico where I've had to like poop at outhouses, which I can never poop because the whole thought no.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been to Cuba and that's been like the worst bathroom situation I've ever seen in my life.
But you've never dug a hole and pooped in it.
Have I?
Have you?
Oh, you know what?
Oh, there we
yes,
go.
I have,
There we
because
are.
I went to some caves in Cuba where there were some things that my godfather had. There was no bathrooms.
Okay.
So, you know, like, thankfully I only had to pee, but like that was the situation, right? And there was no toilet paper.
Oh, wow.
Because in Cuba, there is really no toilet paper. It's only for like the elite, right?
Really?
So when you go, take toilet paper, people. But yeah, they do like a bidet system, but they don't have bidets. So you go ahead.
We're
and
so
figure that
spoiled,
out.
man. I can't poop without
Well,
wipies.
Yeah. me
You're
either.
like Nick. When I took my son to do his ceremony, he's like, "Bring the baby wipes."
Yeah,
I was
dude.
like, "All right, let's go." So you're living in the yurt. How long did you live in this yurt? This is random, but how long
Yeah.
did you live in this yurt?
So we were actually there for about 2 weeks. So a day at the beach in the yurt looked like waking up in the rising, like all of us going to the water, to the ocean to bathe if we needed to or wanted to. And then we would just head to town, to Paia, which is like the quote unquote hippie town of Maui. And we just met a lot of people.
Paia.
Paia, yeah. And
You're bathing in the salt water.
yeah, that was our
Good
shower.
times. Okay. There's some smelly people in this yurt.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
I mean,
actually, no. Everyone
Girl,
was
Yeah.
no.
Why did you get accustomed to everything?
Yeah, there's some smelly people in the yurt, girl. Come on now.
Okay.
And we were there for about 2 weeks, and then our friend's baby mama actually took us into her home. So we were tenting, but in someone's home and in their land. So that was, you know, there were toilets and everything. So it was.
But you
a
were
little
staying
normal.
in a tent still and just kind of using the facilities, or living in her house?
No, yeah, we were at some point we were living in her house, like sleeping in the living room because we didn't have tents yet. And then once we got them, we were like all around her house, but we would use the facilities. So we had a kitchen and a restroom and.
What did you
whatnot.
do for money?
Well, we just took what we had saved up for the trip because we had planned it about, I want to say 4 months before. So my friend and I were just working every single day in preparation.
Okay.
So none of us worked. We kind of were just, you know, living day to day kind of thing.
You're just like a hippie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? You're just like a hippie. Okay. Okay.
Now, during this hippie phase, because here's
You
the
were
thing.
gonna say hippie face.
Well, yeah, and then I was gonna backtrack a little bit. Usually, when people get into like this a spiritual space where they've got crystals or stones, they're meditating, they're hugging nature, they're hugging trees. People say "fucking hippies."
Yeah.
It is the term that's used.
Yeah.
But a lot of times what's going on is there's a spiritual evolution happening that gets dismissed as pinche hippies.
Yeah, I think that's another important thing to talk about just in general, because with, social media and all these trends, like it's easy to label something because it's just easier for people nowadays. But when you're really grounded into your truth, it's like, it's not just a hippie. You get me? It's more than that. It's me really tuning into the nature of my being. But people like to just say, oh, hippie, because it's easier, and cliche.
The nature of your being. That is a very loaded quote.
Yeah.
I would imagine that for different people, there is a different definition to what that means. What does that mean to you?
To me, and I guess to the people that my soul family now, like all those 10 people that we were living together in Maui, we still stay connected. We chat like once every week on a Zoom call because we're working towards getting land together, and living sustainable out there in Hawaii, perhaps, or wherever it takes us. So we have a vision together. For me, it just means being autonomous of my own being and really checking and balancing myself on a mental, spiritual, emotional level, where I am deciding for myself and becoming aware of what's a program and what's being unprogrammed, I guess.
Thanya, you look very pensive there.
No, I'm just listening. So I think, okay, so I know the term soul family, right?
Mm-hmm.
My friend who passed away would call me her soul sister, so I know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a few questions.
Yeah, definitely.
I can get over the like smelly yurt people. That's, I mean, really, because when you get into things that are very like nature based, things get sweaty and it gets smelly. So, but you said previous to this, you were like, oh, I prayed that God would open a way for me to go. And he did. And then you're kind of like, okay, now I want to live, off the land and kind of go back to nature, which I assume, you could stop me, it has to do with like the elements, right? Like I want to go back and commune. So how does that deal with like your perspective on God? Like, because if I have nothing against God, right? Yeah. I just think he's really busy. So I think that the way that people say like, oh, I prayed to God, I don't think that's God. I think that that's your own spirit that's going to connect you to all these things. So do you feel like it was like God, like an omnipotent force that put you there? Or was it more like your soul finding where it needed to be, your spirit taking you there? Or like, how does religion come into this? I guess
it's not religion really. It's more of just like spirit, like a higher being. And also it's like realizing, well, for me at least, because obviously I'm not trying to force anyone to believe what I believe. For me, it's like activating the higher self, like my higher aspect, and just really tapping into my destiny rather than just like my karma, and transcending my karma and just really tapping into what I came here for. And obviously that takes a lot of practice to remember why you are here as a soul,
What nationality are you?
Both of my parents are Mexican immigrants, and they're from Mexico, el Distrito Federal.
I'm from the DF.
Oh, nice.
Get it? Okay. I'm gonna get it. Okay. So, all right.
And I come from that perspective of growing up in LA.
Catholic, probably.
Catholic.
Right, yeah, because there's a lot of Catholics in Mexico City. There's a lot of brujos now, too.
I mean, no, but Mexico, that's where the Basilica de Guadalupe is, correct?
Right by the Zócalo.
Yeah.
And just seeing how, obviously, the gaps of racism and colonization and, like, seeing our people sometimes, I mean, not anymore really. I mean, we're always changing and, you know, growing in our evolution, but seeing a lot of Latinos like barely making it, like living paycheck to paycheck. And I was really tapping into like, you know, learning, like you go to college and you learn all these things about colonization and whatnot. And I was just like, why do we have to live rent, you know, just think about rent and barely survive when there's so much more to life than this? And then also remembering and realizing how they've like, you know, like the land has been taken from us in a sense. So going back to Maui, it was kind of like a remembrance of all that.
What do you guys do? Like, let's say you buy land, right? So I know somebody who did this. I know a lot of random things, people. He lived here for a long time. He was from El Salvador, and his wife is white, right, from Boston. And they basically sold everything they had, went to Nicaragua, and started a commune. Like,
was this sorry, no, cut you off, hold that thought. Was this a commune feel that you guys
that's
were
what I want to know.
experiencing?
Is it a commune? Because they started the commune, and then the commune is self-sustainable because now they sell things, and the commune kind of like pays for itself, right? Like, and they just got running water and all that. That's what you guys have, like, kind of envisioned?
Yeah, that's our vision, but we definitely don't want to, you know, like stray away from technology either. Like, we want to use these tools that are here for us towards our advantage. And also, we're not gonna be a commune that invites all these random people. Like, we're gonna be selective because we know that us as a tribe, at least right now, the 7 of us now, that one of our biggest jobs is to take care of the keiki, which keiki means children, to protect the kids, you get me, from all these other things in the world that are happening. So we can't just invite anyone who's not seeing the vision and doing the inner work to show up for people presently and to bring each other up instead of, you know, being passive and all these other things.
So some of the people in your group have children already, or are you guys just like kind of prepping for the future kind of a thing?
Yeah, they have. So in Hawaii, 2 of my friends got pregnant and now they have babies. And so we have 2 children. I know, the quarantine
girl.
Yeah, so 2 of them have babies already. And that's also already kind of like kickstarting our mission, you know, like how are we relating to these babies and how are we showing up for them and stuff like that. And also just like remembering that as we're parenting these kids, we're also remembering to parent like our own inner child and whatnot, and the importance of that, really, you know.
You guys are really taking the village approach to this, huh? Like, it takes a village kind of a thing.
Yeah, definitely. That's like the biggest thing, you know. And that's something that I've learned with like doula work too, like how much really it takes like a whole community support to raise 1 child, and let alone like 10, you know.
We're just procreating on the commune here.
So now when you're in Hawaii and you're away from LA, was this your first time away from the rat race, the hustle and bustle, the whatever the hell you want to use to describe the fast pace that happens in the city, and the chasing your tail, you know, to pay bills, to pay rent, to get food on the table, and all, or whatever the hell you call it? Was this your first experience just being like, I don't have to be anywhere, I'm just existing here and tapping in to whatever spirituality it is that you were tapping into? Was that your first experience doing that?
Yeah, definitely, because I've lived in San Francisco, but that's not really different from LA,
no.
you know?
No.
So yeah, Maui was the first time where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna save money and just like throw myself in the whole experience and, you know, see what happens. And I mean, Maui in itself is a vortex. So like I was saying earlier, it's like I feel like I learned a lot of things within those 2 first months that I was there, and that whole year that would have taken me like 2-3 years here in LA too.
You stayed a whole year?
Yeah, so I was there initially for 2 months, and then I came back to LA to close some cycles, and then I went back for another year, and I just got back in June.
Okay, so you've lived out there for 2 years.
No, she did 2 months and then
a year and 2 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was definitely amazing because of the nature, but also it just, to me, in my experience, because everyone experiences different things, you know, in the islands and just in general, I feel like it was definitely a lot of clearing of my own karma, and also just really honing into my spirit and being like, okay, this is what I'm really here for, you know.
There was times that I saw pictures of you and you're like out. It looks like the woods, the forest, the trees, and you've got like stuff like there's like I'm like it looks like you're doing some sort of ceremonies or things like that.
Not really. We didn't really do ceremonies or anything. Just my sister Katie and I. She's not my real sister. She's my friend.
She's all disclaimer.
Yeah,
soul sister.
Soul sister. Yes. We were actually. We're channeling a lot together and remembering a lot of our connection to the stars, and we would just be pretty much in ceremony every single day together, you get me, in nature. So that was beautiful because the elements are so alive out there.
So that would be considered kind of ritualistic, no?
Are you taking any hallucinogens while you're doing this?
I wasn't really. People were, you know, I didn't want to. I feel like the energy's just enough already, you know.
But you said you're connecting to your star.
Like my star lineage.
Your star lineage.
Yeah, so that's something like
that
not everyone,
I don't know if that even
will
like
get, and I'm not again forcing anyone to be like, yeah, like I believe in this because
I'll find your star.
Yeah,
you used the word earlier that was interesting to me, galactic.
Yeah.
And I've used that word, like I've said intergalactic quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like in the last few years.
Wow. Yeah.
Where I'll say, like, you know, after X amount of milligrams of THC, I feel like I do intergalactic travel.
Yes.
And then I feel like during that travel where my mind is my mind, and Chiki can tell you, you know, I'll be sitting there and it's like 3 a.m. and I'm not sleepy. Everything's just firing off. And I am just coming up with things that I could not it's not coming from anything that Martine knows, that I've been taught, that I've learned. This is stuff that I feel is coming from a different source.
For sure.
And I've used the term intergalactic, right? Where it's like, that's where you're like, I used to say I'm flying with Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, I'm literally on another realm. And I'd say it half jokingly, but it wasn't like a joke. It was like legit. I'd have to say it half jokingly just so that people wouldn't get scared. Because you say some shit like that and they want to lock you up in a loony bin. They're like, hey, you're fucking crazy.
Is this like astral body projection like that, or is this different?
I think it's different. For me, it's different.
Okay.
Absolutely different. Because I've done the astral projection at night, right? Where you know, I feel like I've done that. But this is different. This is me almost in like a meditative state, receiving information that I don't have no clue where the fuck it's coming from. For me, that's how it works. I don't know that that's the same case for anybody, or I don't know that that's the same way you're using galactic and star lineage. I don't know if that's the same thing or what your experience was, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know, I want to keep this as much of a grounded approach as I can, because people just take things out of context these days, but also who cares?
Just go for it, girl. Just
I
go
know.
for it.
I feel like perhaps like you were tapping maybe into like your higher self, you get me, in those moments. And I feel like this is something that we always have access to. Obviously, like intention plays a huge part in everything that we do. And for me, the way I channel a lot of things, like just smoking weed helps me like get into that meditative state. Like it doesn't even have to be hardcore like LSD or even mushrooms, you know, because for me, mushrooms is more of an emotional experience. Like I feel very watery and like the elements feel alive, but it's not like I don't go to other dimensions. I feel like with weed, like weed is enough for me. And when I smoke intentionally, now I don't really smoke like I used to. Like actually I haven't been smoking for like the past 2 months, and I just don't feel like I want to. But obviously I'm not like shaming the plant or anyone who uses it. I love the plant. It's helped me heal so much. And I feel like when I smoke weed and I dance, like I really tune into my higher self, and that's how I'm able to download, because I'm tapping into my heart. And our heart is our connection to everything, to our higher self, but also like our ether self, I feel like, you get me. And they say that once we tap into the ethers, we have access to just a lot of things. And I feel like when I dance and I'm on weed, like I am able to connect to my higher self and just really channel so many things. And my friend Katie and I, like, we just channel so much together. Like every day we talk, and we're just like channeling so much things. And I feel like her and I are, well, I know, you know, that her and I are connected from the planet Lyra and from Sirian and Pleiadian. And Sirian was the star planet that's closest to the sun, but also the planet that the Egyptian gods came from. You know, like people would always talk about
The Assyrians.
Yeah, Assyrians. And
Assyrians, right? Was that the same ones, or am I thinking different?
I'm not too sure. I just know them as Syrians, but maybe they are, you know, connected or something, because there's different like planets that are the same kind of thing.
And the Pleiadians, I've also heard of the Pleiadians.
Yeah.
This is an alien race, correct?
Yeah,
Or
well,
are
not
they really alien?
like
or
star beings. We can call them star beings.
That's fair.
Because alien sounds like disrespectful in a sense.
Sure. I mean, listen. I mean,
I like her. She's so soft-spoken. She's like, no, not alien.
do not disrespect the
like, "Not
aliens, you
alien."
motherfucker.
It's our
Have some
family.
respect.
She's like, stop now, Martin. Stop now.
My apologies to the Pleiadians.
The Syrians.
No, we're talking Pleiadians.
Oh, no, we're
right?
talking like, okay, sorry. I stayed on Syrian.
That's so funny. Yeah, so I feel like we definitely have these. I know. Okay, so this is what they say. The galactic shaman woman that I was telling you, Destiny, was, and I read.
I love
this,
that title, galactic shaman.
Right?
It's like, fuck. I'm not just a regular shaman, you
I'm a
motherfuckers.
galactic.
I'm a galactic guru. Believe it or not.
I don't want spiritual advisor anymore.
Galactic.
Advisor.
There you go.
Galactic spiritual advisor.
Yes.
Dude,
That
it's
shit sounds bomb.
right? Galactic
Like-
guru. I'm changing my bio as soon as we get done.
And
You
I'm a
crazy?
galactic doula.
I like it. I feel like it's like all about the good energy, man.
Right? I love it. I
like
love it. Well, keep going, please.
But go ahead. Now we stole your word. But go ahead. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
It's all
So
good.
this galactic
Inspiration.
shaman.
Shaman.
Yeah, so Destiny, shout out to Destiny. I just
Destiny. We like your name.
she was telling us, and this is like things that are in the like Hindu religion, right? Like,
Which is old.
yes, so old, like, you know, yoga, whatever. Well, I don't want to say whatever, no disrespect, but the images in the books, they show a lot of how it's like our body, and then our higher self, our star chakra, and then our monadic self. So our monads is like pretty much our soul family. So the soul family that I have right now, I truly believe that they're part of my monad. So it's like a bigger, like together we form a bigger aspect of ourselves.
What
but
is
we're
a monad? I'm
individual
sorry.
people. Monad, it's like a bunch of souls that belong to one monad. So it's like a group of souls pretty much.
Okay.
And they all have similar like higher purposes and whatnot.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
I don't subscribe to conspiracy theories, but I kind of do.
Uh-huh.
I believe in everything.
Mhm.
I don't ever want to see anybody from any of those planets.
Yeah.
I'm one of those.
You probably already have.
I probably already have.
Yeah.
But I'm one of those people who has a fear of things like that.
For sure.
Like I can see dead people all day long. Doesn't bother me.
Really? Wow. Yeah.
But once you start even showing me things about like NASA, like all that
Mm-hmm.
shit, even like Jerry makes fun of me. I'm like, turn it off. It gives me anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's a memory. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Because I get like very anxious about
Yeah.
it. But you know, I'm reading a book that talks about all these different people from different planets, right? And the lizard people and all these people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it says that you can tell their descendants because of different things like the Illuminati, the eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys know that there's like a huge multi-level marketing company called Monat, right?
Monad?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Yeah.
It's huge.
What
It's
do
like
they do?
they sell a bunch of lifestyle products, like a bunch of like,
So it's like an Amway.
no, but more for like beauty kind of, right? But
Oh,
it was
wow.
started
So
by
it's like an Avon.
kind of, yeah, but it's started by a woman, and they do a lot of hair products. But I just think that it's funny that there's no coincidence. Like the reason they called themselves that was
It's
because
a collection.
it's a collection of people
Oh, wow.
looking
exactly.
for the higher purpose,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So all those people who think that things happen like no, it doesn't happen like that. Like the fact that Kanye West is out there dressed in white doing some kind of ceremony with Justin Bieber and now with Marilyn Manson because he's going to court, and they're all in white and they're all in a circle and they're all chanting. Like all of these things are connected. So
Well, the chanting and the dancing go hand in hand. When you say that you ascend when you dance, what kind of dancing are you doing? Like, is it like just like the drums to drums, or are you like, we're talking about clubs?
No, it's definitely like very ancestral tones. You get me? Well, I don't know how to describe it honestly, but it's like kind of like reggae, dub, and like Spanish, like it just sounds like
Carlos
ancestral
Santana
music.
stuff.
No, it's more, well, some artists are like, Bomba Estéreo even, right?
Yeah.
That band, like some of their newer stuff, it's very nature based.
So Santana had sampled a song from a guy named Ola Tunji, which is an African guy with the drums. And that's one reason I brought up Santana. And Santana, Carlos Santana, does the star traveling and things like that.
Wow.
He's a very spiritual human being, extremely spiritual human being. And I know people that are close to him, that know him personally, and the dude is just on another level spiritually.
Wow. Yeah.
And when they say that, when he just starts talking, I haven't been present, but from everybody that I know that knows him, it's just an incredible experience to be in this. The energy that comes out of this man is incredible.
Well, the drums have their own language, right? Like in
Sure.
Santeria and voodoo and hoodoo, like the drums, that's why there's only certain people who are allowed to play the drums, and you have to go through a sacred ceremony, and then you go through years under someone before you can even own a drum. Like my son, that's one of his walks, so he was inducted into that ceremony almost a year ago. And it's like, it has to be like you're constantly being trained, because the small drum is the female and the larger drum, I think, or vice versa, and they talk to each other. Okewa is the drummer. So those drums are sacred, like so sacred that they're having a conversation. That the singing doesn't bring Orisha.
One of my
the drum
sisters
does.
is learning drumming with the Aztec with the Aztec dancing that she practices, and that's also a very old pagan tradition, where these drums and this communing with. I mean, look, when you saw Ricky Ricardo bang on that drum and scream Babalu. Babalu is an Orisha, right? And so this dude, the light would just be, and then he'd start hitting it, and then he'd start banging it, and then he was jumping around screaming, and he was honoring this god.
Well, yeah, because like the biggest ebo, the biggest cleansing or the biggest sacrifice, there's a lot of big sacrifices, but one of them is a drumming. Like if you're having a lot of issues, or the opposite of that, if you're very grateful, then you do a drumming party, because that's what Orisha likes, know. So here they're expensive here, but that's why, like, you'll see, when we go to Cuba, we're doing like 5 or 6. As many as we can fit in, because it's communicating to Olofi. It's taking the message to the higher power. So I totally believe that there's a trance element to things like that, for sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned, there's so much that you mentioned. There's so much that you mentioned that I don't want to just gloss over it, because it's all like really interesting stuff. I'm fascinated by it, And right now that you mentioned Pleiadians, right?
Yeah.
Now that's what planet is that? Is a planet called Pleiadian, or the inhabitants called Pleiadians?
Well, it's the Pleiadians, and then like I guess the star planet is called the Pleiades, or I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing
Pleiades?
it right. Yeah, and it's in the constellation of Taurus. So there's 7 star planets, and they all make up the constellation of Taurus, and that's where they're from. And they say that we're the closest to the Pleiadians, and in that sense,
we as humans,
in the sense that they're our future, quote unquote, our future selves. So their job is to come here to Earth, and not necessarily always as like a being of energy that's gonna show up. Like sometimes it's like ideas that we have that we're able to channel, like the energy. You get me? And they're here to help us ascend, to become, to really remember why we're here on Earth, because we all have a mission, and it's like a lot of the whole rat race notion is what keeps us distracted and under the amnesia of forgetting why we're really here. And I feel like that's why there's a lot of, depression and anxiety, because people don't remember why they're here. So it's like, if anything, it's like we should remember as a collective why we're here. And I feel like we'll all be much more happier.
Okay, here's a crazy circle back to something. When I introduced you, I said that, you're a Reiki healer. I took a Reiki class years ago. And what was interesting about this Reiki class is that to this day, I could not practice Reiki to save my life, right? But I am a certified Reiki master.
Same.
According to the paperwork.
You told me,
Okay, now.
Same. And I can't practice.
What's more fascinating to me is that the first time I heard that the Pleiadians were here to help us ascend was at this Reiki class.
Oh, wow.
While I was smoking weed, because Chiki said, hey, whatever you do, don't tell these people you're God. Don't tell them you're taking over. And try not to smoke weed. And after the first day, I'm like, I need to smoke weed.
I need to tell them I'm God.
Yeah.
Tell the
And
truth.
I can't lie.
I'm here.
And so anyway, but in one of the circles of the weed circles of the people that I ended up, the stoners always find each other somehow.
For sure.
And so I'm out there in this circle and I'm listening to these people and I'm just like, I didn't bring enough weed for this because they are saying things. Everything that you just said right now, that's why I think it's fascinating. But the first time I ever heard the term Pleiadian was at this Reiki ranch where I'm there to learn about Reiki, but I learned more that weekend about the reptilians, about the Pleiadians, about the blues, about the grays. So there's a bunch of different and now when you talk about stars, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we are. We're stardust.
Exactly.
Everything
right?
on this planet is the same. Everything that we've managed to document and chart on the table of elements are things that stars are made out of. And so our bodies are made out of stardust. When you look at the Bible, and I'm not trying to get religious here, but when you look at the Bible and it said, God or whoever this creator is, and just so that people don't get turned off by the term God. I think a lot of people get turned off by the term God because they have this image that was portrayed to them of this dude on a throne with a crown judging you. And are you in this book of life, you monkey? Did you jack off? You can't come in. Get out of here. Go burn in hell with the pointy ear guy.
Always the masturbation.
The masturbation will send you to hell. But this creator, if you will, when you think about Genesis, the beginning, right, the creation, when you think about being made out of dust, our mind immediately goes to dirt because that's the only dust that we know. Could it be that this dust is the stardust? There's some truths in this book. I'm not saying that it's all craziness. There's some truths there. You have to discern like what is
symbology.
Correct. So it would make sense that everything was created from stardust, from dust. It doesn't say stardust. It just says dust. But if you've got a whole universe and galaxies at your disposal, why would you limit yourself to making somebody out of dirt? And again, that's what we with our human limited experience project it to be. I would argue that it is stardust that's being discussed in this ancient text of the Aramaic, which I wish I could understand so that I can go back and a lot of those translations wouldn't be lost, and diluted. So yes, I'm a big believer in the fact that we're fascinated by the stars. We're fascinated. We look up there and it's just breathtaking, and all we can see is if you've been fortunate enough to be in somewhere that's really dark where you could see the Milky Way, which I've been fortunate enough to see many times. I've been fortunate enough to be in meteor showers, which is just in the middle of a meadow out somewhere, high, with a bunch of people that are just sitting there. I was in my 20s at this time, and I remember just this meteor shower in the middle of a meadow at 3 a.m. in the middle of a forest. It was just an incredible experience, and you start realizing, oh shit, we're this tiny, we're this small. And when you start connecting to where you came from, and again, if these Pleiadians are helping us ascend, how is it that they're helping us ascend? How could we help them help us?
I think by becoming more intentional of the things that we are doing and trying to connect to not only like the outside source of creation, but like remembering that it's also within us, and like really activating our bodies, I want to say, because a lot of people, you know, in this world tend to look outside still for answers, but it's like a lot of the reason. I mean, a lot of it is within us. Like, we already know, if only we took the time to meditate and, you know, like move our body, because it's also like our own land. Our body is our earth, and it's like tending to that land, you know, because, and like really taking time to rest, like for that downtime, because I feel like that's when a lot of the downloads come through as well.
Go ahead, Thanya. We're gonna say something.
No, I'm taking it in. I'm thinking. It's a lot of the things that you're saying. I heard a very long time ago from someone who like walked different like spiritualities. Like he was Rastafarian, and then he was a Muslim, like under Louis Farrakhan. And then he kind of got into like a hybrid of Rastafarianism, kind of, but he would talk about downloads, right? So he was, so everybody knows I don't smoke pot, I don't do any of that. But this was the first person who I met who would like smoke out intentionally. Yeah. Like he would sit in his backyard, meditate and smoke, and he would not speak to anyone. And then him and I would speak after, because, you know, he was my neighbor, and we would be like, he'd be like, well, things come to me. He's like, but if I tell it to everyone, they're going to think I'm fucking crazy.
Absolutely.
He's like, but things come to me. And the blues and the grays. So there's a lot of people who are going to listen to this and be like, okay, this chick is out there fucking high, seeing some aliens. Okay, girl, you know, like whatever. Right. But if you.
That Maui Wowie, bro.
Right. They're like, sure. She lived in a yurt. I've had enough. No, but like, so my dad, you know, from, you know, like was born in the 60s, right? He's 74 years old. He lives.
No. He was not born in the 60s.
What, was born in the 50s? Born in the 50s? Yeah. Okay.
Because I was born in the 60s. Don't be aging
Sorry.
me.
Sorry. I don't know. Sorry, Dad. Sorry. So he was around in the 70s. Like, yeah, because he was like a young guy in the 70s, right? So
he would have been in his 20s.
In his 20s, yeah. Sure. Okay. So like, he had so I think everything happens for a reason. So he had the good fortune to get hooked up with a lot of people over here and in Silver Lake. Like he has pictures with Charles Manson and shit like that, right? So he would always tell me about the blues and the grays when I was little, and I would be like, yeah, right. Like my dad's like definitely smoking out. Like this is not. He had a friend who would call and tell me he was Jesus too. So it was like you had to take things in stride, right? So
we're all Jesus according to Alan Watts,
which was his whole thing. His friend, right? Kibaya Chris, he passed away, but he would be like, "I'm Buddha. I'm Yahweh. I'm the Son of God. I'm the second coming." And when I was little, I was like, "It's Chris," you know, like whatever. But now I realized that he was a person who was dealing with a lot of inner turmoil, and he was a person who was trying to connect to something. Right now in hindsight,
like give him identity,
yeah, like trying to identify with what he felt at the core would give him purpose, right? Yeah. But back to the blues and the grays. So the blues and the grays, I would never believe in this stuff, right? And then I met somebody who took me to Angeles Crest Forest in the middle of the night and sat me outside, and that was the first meteor shower I ever saw. But he picked me up at my house with my friend who passed away. That's so weird that we're talking about this. He picked me up and he was like, "Come with me, I'm going to show you something," because I just had a memory. And I was like, okay, a memory. And he drove us and we went outside, and at this point I'm already in Santeria, you know, and we sat outside and there was just like this shower of like all these lights, right? And I was like, whoa. And he's like, "I want to tell you something. I totally believe in blues and grays, and I had to pick you up because I had a memory of this with you. Wow. And I'm bringing you so that you can have a memory and remember what your purpose is."
Wow.
I've never talked about that. And that's so funny that she brought it up, because I had like this weird deja vu when we were here right now.
Wow.
But I definitely believe those things exist. And I don't think they exist in the way that like this guy's going to come and put his finger on you and he fucked your brain. No, like I don't think that. But I definitely think that.
Oh, I feel amazing though.
Right? I definitely
finger your brain.
I definitely think
just brain blasting
once
you.
You start seeing things in mainstream media, you should really pay attention.
Sure. Oh yeah. Look at
these things are happening. Like, look at American Horror Story. The new one is all about aliens and blues and grays.
Are you serious? I did not know that.
Yeah, there's people who control whether you want to believe it or not. who control everything that we're allowed to see in the media. And once they start trickling out these pieces to you, you shouldn't be scared, but you should wake up.
You should be aware.
You should be aware, because they're trickling it out to you on purpose, right? They're doing all these things.
Do you remember during the lockdown how much talk of UFOs footage being released and alien talk
And they were
being
gonna
released
storm,
and Area 51 and there's so much talk of this. There's been talk of this for so long. When there's rumblings, there's definitely something there, you know? But I before I forget, I just want to say that I knew that you had grown as a person. The last time I saw you, we talked a little bit about how you grew up and how sheltered you were and how your parents and your upbringing. You are on a whole nother level now. You're a whole different woman than you were a few years ago, which, I mean, we all grow, but just listening to you now versus listening to you then, you can see the evolution, and just congratulations on your growth, dude. It's phenomenal. It's awesome. It's great to see.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of things. I feel like piecing.
Get up in that mic.
I think it's a lot of like piecing my own questions, but also it's like a lot of stuff that's out of this quote unquote world, but it's part of this world. And obviously a lot of people don't relate to this yet, because I feel like I truly believe that at one point everyone's gonna be tapped into like the connection of us with the other planets and whatnot. And also there's a reason why everyone loves Star Wars, because like part of their soul remembers that the galactic wars are actually a thing.
Oh wow, I'm gonna watch that now.
I've never seen Star Wars?
I've never seen that. I'm not big, I'm not big on like, I've never seen that, but now I'm gonna watch it.
It's actually a very in my opinion, not that this is true or not, but it's almost like a very political commentary on the good fighting the evil.
Okay.
And just how just it's within you, it's in you. Just everything that you said, like it's inside of you. You don't have to look outside of it. The force is in you. Like if you really look within yourself and connect within yourself. Back in the 70s, we talked about this earlier when you talked about, and I don't know if, fuck it, we'll share it. I'm just going to blast it. But when you said this person can maneuver, bend the spoon with her mind.
Ooh, okay.
The galactic shaman destiny.
So now when you think about that power, there was an experiment done. Well, fuck it, let's go. Hitler was accused of doing mind control on his people, and they were talking about what was used to do this mind control, right? When we won World War II, we took a lot of his scientists as political prisoners, and we said to these scientists, all right, you monkeys, what were you doing? What the hell were you doing to manipulate these people? And at that time, there was a lot of LSD flowing around. LSD was, by the time the 60s came around, there was a few years after World War II, by the time the 60s came around, every major university had a study with LSD. Every major university had a study with this molecule. There was a lot of people at that time. There's a movie in the 70s about telekinesis. It's called, when you can move things. The movie was with John Travolta and I forget who the girl that played Carrie. But the movie is called Carrie. Have you ever seen Carrie?
Yeah, the one with the pig's blood.
Yes.
I love that movie.
So this girl could move things with her mind, and then her mom would put her in the prayer room and go pray, motherfucker, because you got the devil inside you. And so, but people were fascinated by telekinesis and the power of the mind. The government was doing studies. There was a study called MK Ultra that was conducted, and that study was on mind control. George Clooney made a movie called Men Who Stare at Goats. It tapped into it in a minuscule way, but it tapped into it. In 1973, the MK Ultra studies were completely shut down, and everything, most of those records were destroyed. They said no more of this MK Ultra, no more of this manipulating, no more, because they were feeding people LSD in god awful amounts. People were just freaking out and jumping out of buildings, and all that shit about people that this is what drugs will do to you. No, this is what drugs will do to you if you overdose to a crazy irresponsible amount.
There's another documentary on that.
People were jumping out of buildings. People they were giving them this LSD without them knowing. Of course they thought they were going crazy. And so people were jumping out of buildings, and people would say, "Oh, well, if you smoke weed, you're going to think you can fly." No, motherfucker, if you give me a glass full of LSD, I might think I could fly. You know? And so, but again, then LSD just became completely illegal. Completely illegal. You got to figure at that time, people were the deadheads, the people that were following the Grateful Dead, were living exactly like you're looking to live. These people were in the prime of their life, following their favorite band across the country, traveling. Everything that we save up to do when we're old and nothing works anymore, they were doing in the prime of their life. They said, fuck, tune out and tune in, is what Timothy Leary said, right? And people were dropping out of school and saying, fuck this rat race. This is crazy talk. I want to go out there. I want to listen to this music. I want to dance. I want to fuck. And I want to have a good time. And isn't that what life is all about? Or is it about fucking clocking in every day?
Yeah,
these people were living their best lives, and they were calling them deadheads because they followed the Grateful Dead, and it had this connotation of a bunch of hippie losers. But in reality, I feel that they had figured it out. They said, fuck this bullshit. Let me just go do this shit that I got to save up until when I'm 65, then I could come do this? Hell no. I'm going to do it now. And they were self-actualization is the top of the pyramid of Maslow's pyramid of the hierarchy of needs, right? You got food and shelter, love, and at the top of that shit is self-actualization. Most people get caught up in food and shelter to ever self-actualize and do what they were meant to do or what they were put here to do. That dose of LSD, that small dose of LSD that taps into that molecule, that part of your brain that says to you, fuck all this programming, all this shit that they told you have to do, because they literally told us all we have to do. They said, hey man, your name is Lilia, you're going to go to kindergarten, you're going to learn your fucking alphabet, then you're going to go to middle school, then you're going to go to high school, then hopefully you go to college, then you're going to get married, then you're going to buy a house, then you're going to have kids, and you're going to be in debt for the rest of your fucking life. And then once you freaking reach a certain age, you're going to retire, you're going to get this gold watch, and that's what's going to make you happy. And so then
can't even move anymore.
And then you go out there and you start checking all these fucking boxes. You start checking all these fucking boxes, and you're like, okay, did this. And then you get to a point in your life when you're like, wait a minute, I did all this shit and I'm still not happy. What the fuck? You lied to me. Who said? And I've always been a who said. ¿Quién chingados dice que eso es lo que tengo que hacer?
Yeah.
And I've been called a rebel for that. I've been called a malcontent. I've been called a fucking asshole. I think I'm right.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Please.
Okay, I'm going to do devil's advocate. So you're going to go, okay, so fuck the man. We're just going to go live in the yurt. But then the other side of that is you have to be self-sustainable, because if you're a person who's not going to do anything, so I think people have the wrong impression of people who want to commune with nature and live a hippie lifestyle. Like I know like that person who I know who bought land, right? They are not living off the government. Because you can't have it all your way.
No.
You cannot say I'm going to go commune with nature, get back to the root, remember my purpose, and I'm going to collect government money and subscribe to all these welfare systems that were really made to keep people as slaves. That's a whole other topic. So, you know, the person who I know who's living on a commune, doing all these things, you know, they're planting, they're growing their own food. It's very self-sustainable. But you cannot be just a huevón sitting at your house saying, I don't need to do none of this.
Well, no, nobody's saying that. No. That's not devil's advocate. I did not say that. I didn't say stay home. These people, these deadheads were out there. They were selling their wares on the road.
But people will,
they were no. Nobody's saying stay home.
Behind that. Like, that's where all of the tie-dye shit came from. They would tie-dye shit.
Nobody's saying sit your ass at home and do nothing. No. That's not what I'm saying. And I don't want that to be the message that got conveyed. I don't think that's what I said. I appreciate you being devil's advocate, but that's not the argument that I'm making. I'm not saying stay home and fucking stare at the ceiling. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying don't buy in to the machine.
Yeah.
Find your own path.
I think it's also remembering
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think it's also remembering that even quote unquote living the hippie lifestyle is already a program out there in the collective, and it's like
beautiful.
You're gonna do what you came here to do, and that might not look like anything that's already happened. And just because people think that, oh, she wants to live in a commune, so it's gonna be like this and it's gonna turn into a cult, that's all still programming. Like, are you even doing your inner work, dude? Hello. And then because it's like our goal is different, and we're not saying that everyone's gonna do it, and we're not saying that we definitely don't want to do it how other people have done it, we want to. And then also it's like words, like what I think, how I relate to the word, I don't know, stick can mean something totally different to someone else. So it's also becoming very clear with what you really mean and making people understand, and also those who really matter. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and convince everyone of what I believe. Obviously, we've already been through that, but also realizing that life as a society goes always to their extremes. Like, people love going to their extremes. It's either, oh, I'm an alcoholic, and then I'm gonna go to rehab to stop drinking, and now I hate alcohol, and blah blah blah. It's like, no, dude, there's a balance. Like, I think life is led better when there's a balance, not like going to our extremes, because honestly that's the most of the problems, you get me, like the black and white and whatnot.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I forget what, I think it was in North Carolina, or forget where the hell I was at. One of the cities that I was at this last weekend. And we're coming back from the hotel. There's runners, people that are in a van that come and get you and take you from point A to point B. Getting back into the venue, it's a fucking place that seats 5,000 people. Mm-hmm. There's a giant line to get in on the entrance. The exit is completely open. There's nobody coming out. Everybody's going in.
Mm-hmm. So
everybody's
going
in
through the exit.
So I said to the guy,
yeah, why don't you?
I said, hey man, we're gonna be here for another 20. The show starts in freaking half hour. I need to get in here. Can you please go through the exit? And he goes, but that's the exit. And I said, okay. Yes, but there's nobody coming out right now. And he said, but that's the exit. I can't do that. The common sense of
it, right?
And I said, and so I'm like, okay, fine. Can you pop the trunk? I'm going to grab my shit. I grabbed my shit and I walked. And it took me 4 minutes to get to where I needed to be, right? Mm-hmm. And the next day, I was talking to one of the PAs in the back, right? And I said, I wish more people had common sense like you. Because she said, hey, let's go in through. She told the runner, hey, let's go in through here. And I said, and I started explaining. And she's like, what? And I go, yeah, but it's illegal. It's illegal to do that. And this person lives in a black and white world. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people live in that black and white world. And it's, if you do live in those extremes, like you just said, you are fucked. Mm-hmm. You are fucked if you live in those extremes, because just because something is illegal doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it, because it might be the right thing to do. And just because something is legal, let me finish my thought, doesn't mean that it's okay. Slavery was legal for a long time.
Well, a lot of things are legal.
So if we're gonna fucking go by what's legal and illegal and do that as our bar, we're fucked. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a big gray area that we need to live in.
Even now, there's states where you can marry people who you're related to. You can marry people who are 15. You can just because something's legal doesn't mean it's not. There's states that don't let you get an abortion. Like
there's states that let you fuck animals, but not somebody of the same sex.
Yeah. So it's like I don't. So. It's not that. I think that everybody should do whatever makes them happy. Mm-hmm. I've realized in the last 6 months something's going on with me. Mm-hmm. like there's a shift going on with me, like an energy shift. And I started feeling it slowly, and now it's more and more pronounced, and I can tell. You know how you can tell, like you're you could tell, right? So that's how I feel. So I don't know how that's going to end up, but I do know what I have learned is that a lot of things that we're taught by our parents were taught out of necessity. All those things that were like, go to college. I went to college. Go to do this, go to do that. Luckily, my mother's always been very spiritual. So money has never been like her deciding factor on things. She's always been like, money is fucked. Like everybody fights for money. Money está maldecido, blah, blah, blah. So, but I think that if you grow up with people who maybe are not on that kind of spiritual plane, then a lot of things are put into you out of necessity and fear. Like we are very blessed, to use that term, because we came in a time where our parents did a lot of the groundwork, right? Like my mother looks American, right? So it was okay, right? Like she passed, but I know that my grandmother came not speaking English, and people would make fun of her at the grocery store. Like I can still remember, right? So it's like the racism and the things that we had to deal with people who were basically just coming back to a land that was taken from us. A lot of things are taught out of fear, like do good in school, repeat what they're telling you, try to move up.
And they're done out of ignorance too. When people like the institution of marriage, okay, and here we go. I'm going to go there, but I feel it's important because people will say, well, you know what, Martin, I'm doing it because I just respect the tradition of it. The tradition of it? Are you fucking kidding me? Who gives this woman to this man to take care of now? Because obviously this bitch can't take care of herself. I do. Her dad. Here she is. Where's my dowry? You got a goat? You got a couple of goats and a bag of money for this fucking virgin pussy? Hand it over.
Nobody's a virgin
That's
anymore.
where that tradition came from. How horrible is that? But yet we fucking glorify it by throwing $50,000 into a goddamn party.
So devil's
and look, I know I'm getting a little passionate. I'm sorry.
Devil's advocate. I got married.
Good for you.
I got married. I wasn't married by a priest, but I was married because I think that certain ceremonies are important. I don't think that a priest marrying me or a shaman marrying me or my mother marrying me is different. I think it's all the same.
Sure.
But I think there's something to be said for ceremonies. I subscribe to that because I'm a santera and I have a lot of ceremonies.
I'm not disputing that.
But I do think throwing $50,000 of money that usually people do not have to impress people who will talk about you anyway is not a good idea in any
quinceañeras cost fucking $30K, $40K nowadays.
I didn't have one on that.
And but again, look, and again, when people tell me the reasoning behind it, I'm not talking to you specifically, but when I hear people say, well, I'm doing this because it's the tradition that's important. Wait, do you know the tradition? Do you know the history of what this marriage was symbolic for? And when you do that, then I think that the verbiage is what I have a problem with. Don't tell me you're doing it because you're honoring the tradition of it. The tradition of it was horrible.
But I also think a lot of things, like even the things that she's speaking about and the things that you speak about a lot, and even some points, the things that I speak about are things that we've learned by reading, by studying, right? Because you're at this level of where you know where you want to go and what you want to do because you've studied, you've taken the time to really pay attention. We can't put our phones down at all. So it's like a year of nature and, really connecting opens your eyes. I'm sure you probably got like 10 years of knowledge, like it's so focused. So I think sometimes the things that we talk about are new to people too, right? Like not everybody, has read as much as you, or not everybody has experience. So look, I'm going to tell it to you from an outsider perspective. This girl came on. She's seen somebody bend a fork or something with their mind. This is how they're going to think. She is going to go live on the land.
And she's
with her soul family
and the
that came from the aliens.
Right.
That's the truth. That's how they're going to break it down.
Sure.
So, and she's talking to the person who, kills chickens and talks to rocks. And then there's Martin who fuck everything, but
I didn't say fuck everything.
But I believe in spiritual things. Right. So it's like people aren't going to take it's such a small amount of time to really get to what experience moved you to get you to this point, even to the point of being a doula, right? Like when you told me you were a doula, I was like, oh, that's so awesome. And people who don't know what a doula is, you assist in home births, right?
Not necessarily home births. We just assist birthing people.
Okay.
We can't even call them moms, you know, just birthing people
Why
through
can't
their
you call them
pregnancy.
No, because that's
not
not.
everyone is a mom. Some people have different gender
Yeah, you unwoke
identities.
motherfucker.
And you can't just expect someone.
I'm so over this shit.
It's not breast milk, it's chest milk.
I do think not everyone's a mom, though. I want to say that. But I've never heard somebody not be called a mom who's giving birth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's people who
Yeah.
menstruate. It's not women who menstruate.
Why?
I saw that
doula,
today.
It's birthing people. That's what
It's
we
Birthing
call
people. They
them.
birth
Okay.
people. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we assist them during their pregnancy, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally. And then if they're giving birth at the hospital, we show them their rights and we help them advocate for themselves and remind them that they have power over their body so they can exercise their rights at the hospital when the doctors are trying to force shit on them.
Force shit on them. Like naming your kid. You don't have to name your kid.
Yeah, no.
You only have to name them if you want a social security number.
What do they force? Can you give me some examples of what's forced on women?
Like sometimes they want to force a C-section. They want to do an epidural. They want to do all these things that are not natural. And it's like the more unnatural, the more they'll try to push it on you.
But now, I mean, I think that sometimes it calls for those things.
Yeah,
right?
and that's the thing. Like as doulas, we're not advocating, oh, you should have a natural thing. It's like, what do you want given the tools that we gave you? So it's like we just bring awareness to things. We show you what so and so does to your body, and then some people are like, I understand, I don't want that. But then some people, when they're at the hospital, they're like, just do it, like I don't want to feel this pain. So it's just like really letting the person decide at the end of the day.
Yeah,
for
no,
themselves.
there's I know that there's kids that are born that are big ass kids with big giant heads that there's no way they're coming. There's no way they're gonna come out of there. They got to get them out through a C-section because these are some 12-pound big head motherfuckers, right? That I've met personally. You know that I don't care how much you push me, huh? That motherfucker is not coming out.
But
of there,
would that baby not have come out? Like,
I don't know, man.
like would your body have created something that it couldn't come out?
It might have come out,
Like-
but it would have destroyed some shit. Like.
But would have what? No,
I mean, look, because
would it?
usually they have to do a episiotomy, not all the time, but a lot of times
maybe
it's
you would have
necessary.
torn, like,
Yeah,
really
I mean, it could have
bad.
happened, and it would have
Yeah.
just, been the recovery would have been brutal, maybe.
Probably.
I
I mean,
I don't know. I think that there's always it's not again, it's not black and white. I think
Yeah.
there's always that
Yeah.
gray area.
And I think kids were smaller way back before the steroids and the food and the right. So now it's totally
I mean, dude,
different.
there's 12-pound kids being born.
There's
Look,
a 14-pound kid that was born.
My
What the hell is
my
that?
niece was a preemie, and she weighed fucking almost 9 pounds.
A preemie. Wow.
Yeah, she was premature by a month. If she would have stayed in the full term, who
Like
knows how
12,
big that chick would have been.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think with anything, it's all about like knowing our rights and knowing our power and knowing that we have the power to advocate for ourselves and really educating ourselves so we can decide for ourselves and like have all these tools and be prepared, and not go into the hospital or wherever we're at, like not knowing our rights or just knowing who we are kind of thing.
When are you planning to go back to Hawaii?
In January.
Oh shit! Right around the corner.
And are you gonna stay or?
Yeah, I want to ground my roots there for sure. I don't want to come back to LA. I came back because I had to work and stuff like that.
She's all sad. She's all,
What do your parents think about your whole journey?
My parents, like I've spoken before of them. Like I was the only daughter and I was the middle child and I was the youngest for a while. And they honestly have thought I was crazy my whole life. But at the end of the day, they just respect what I do. Because they're like, I don't know what she's doing, but whatever, I think my mom's given me... When they do give me shit, it's out of fear, of course. And I understand that. But I still feel like I'm going to do what I'm going to do, Because I'm following my heart. It's not like I'm following... Like, sure, I read all these things, but at the end of the day, I always tune into what I want. And I think that not a lot of people do that. So I'm just proud that I actually keep building the courage to just keep doing that. So, yeah, they just think I'm crazy.
you're going back to Maui.
No, I'm going to go to the Big Island.
You're gonna go to Honolulu.
No,
No,
the
wait.
Big Island. And
Hawaii.
that's where Kona
Hawaii.
side is.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay. I like it.
The big island. That's the slowest paced one, right?
I believe so. Honestly, I've never been there, but we already have a couple of friends there, and yeah, a place to crash and to work while we get our own house and whatnot. And so that's the place. And I heard it's like different energy from Maui, because Maui, they say that there's 7 main Hawaiian islands, and they say that Maui is the sacral chakra, so that's like our inner child.
So every island is a chakra.
Supposedly, that's what
I did
people
not know
say.
that.
And that the big island is the root chakra, so it's very community based, a lot of like dancing and whatnot, so it's really nice. And then Maui is the inner child, like the sacral or sexual energy, so a lot of that energy like plays
That's how
out
I got
there.
pregnant, huh?
I guess, yeah.
I hear you.
And then there's just like a lot of openness there, but if you haven't done your inner
there's
work,
some nude beaches there right now.
yeah, if you haven't done your inner work, like Maui, like the dark side of Maui will show up.
The dark side of Maui.
Yeah, like you'll be triggered a lot in Maui if you don't do your inner work, because it's showing you where your wounds are at, I guess, and it brings it up. You get me? Like here in LA, it would take a whole year to like fully see that lesson, and in Maui, it's like right there in your face. So there's no denying it.
You said it was a vortex. Like, what did you mean by that? Because I have an idea of what a vortex is. Martin and I have talked about different places that I think are vortexes, but why would you? Explain that theory?
Well, definitely it's the Hawaiian Islands. They say that the Hawaiian Islands was the land of Mu, Lemuria. So, and it's like, it's just, there's so much nature, you get me, and the Hawaiians have kept it a sacred place for a reason. So it's a vortex, and like also that's a place where you go evolve spiritually on a super fast level. So that's what I mean by vortex.
I like it.
Yeah.
One more question.
Yes.
Your stone on your necklace, guess.
So actually, it's funny.
It looks like
that
an
you
arrowhead.
ask. Yeah, it's an Andara crystal. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's actually it was very expensive. It was about $200 for this piece. And Andara, and it's kind of like Moldavite, where it like shifts your reality super fast, and it helps really upgrade your DNA and all these other things.
What the fuck?
Like once I got it, I wasn't able to sleep like for the first 3 days at night, because I felt so like high.
Where
like,
does it originate from?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. Like I haven't looked that much into it, but I definitely, there is also like people buy fake ones that it's actually just glass. So we have to be careful where we source it from. And this one is legit. And
oh yeah,
yeah, I know for a fact.
Well, we hope so, because
it is. I feel it.
Where did you get it?
I got it from a woman who holds them in the Big Island.
Okay.
And she like tells you that you're kind of like adopting the stone, like
like adopting.
Yeah. So that's what it is. And I truly believe that it's also more of like a piece of technology, like Moldavite, like they say that it's from a meteorite, and that's why it's so expensive. But they also say that it changes your life like super fast. Like if you want a life change, like that'll help you.
It gets people out of your life who aren't supposed to be there.
Yeah, like intense stuff, because I feel like it's probably like a meteorite, maybe like technology that helps you like timeline jump or something,
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah. But who knows? That's just
me. Okay. I'm gonna buy some.
We it's so I'm gonna kind of go back to when we first started talking a little bit earlier in the conversation. You mentioned the old Indian religions, right? And the language is Sanskrit, right? And Sanskrit, they say, is very similar. Once you understand it, it's almost like reading computer code.
Yeah.
And so when you take, how we tend to try to fight technology, but the reality is that the same language that's used in what is it, binary code, is the same as in Sanskrit.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that happens in the mantras and in chanting and in the vibrations is how and who knows, maybe that's why we as humans are tapping in to technology on a whole nother level that's going to help us figure out what has been embedded in our DNA codes.
Yeah, I can see that. And then also they say that, you know, like the star beings, like they also have super advanced technology. So I feel like that's also what we're tapping into as humans. But of course, there's some people that have their own hidden agenda that's not for the greatest and highest good. So it's all about, I feel like, using these tools to
discern,
in a discerning way, and also to really, like, what are we doing with them, you know, like being intentional. Like I've said, I think that's a big important factor in life, like just being intentional of why we're doing things and stuff like that.
Fascinating conversation, Lilia. Anything else you want to throw into the mix, because it just has not been enough?
I know, right?
Dude, before you say, you've said so much, and it's just like, I'm gonna go back and listen to this episode, and then I'm gonna go on some rabbit holes for sure.
Totally. I'm like,
for sure.
Of course, I'm just grateful for both of you. Thank you for having me. I feel like we could talk for hours, because I feel like we just touched like the tip of a lot of things, you know, but I do feel like they all connect, and whatever came up happened for a reason. So whoever is listening or is gonna listen to, like, I hope these codes were shared with your higher self to like really help you tune in to your own being and to see why you're here. And honestly, right now, since I'm transitioning to Hawaii, there are no offerings really that I have, because I don't want to do any doula work that'll keep me here longer. I'm trying to get out, y'all.
So if you're in Hawaii, hit her up later.
Yeah, hit me up later once I'm moved there. But you can definitely follow me on Instagram. I am Human Plant, and yeah, honestly, I just don't want to be those type of people that people follow because, you know, they put me on a pedestal, because I'm very much human as well. So yeah.
That was very freaking poetic.
You can put me on a pedestal. I'm fine with that.
Call me Jesus, y'all.
No, what's my new name? Galactic. Yes.
Spiritual advisor.
Galactic spiritual advisor.
Because Galactic Bruja sounds like too much.
Galactic Bruja is awesome, homie.
Yeah. I'm going to
Are
change
you
my
kidding me?
Right?
You should have a broom with some rocket launchers fucking flying around space.
Right?
Fuck
there you
yeah.
go. T-shirt idea.
Galactic Bruja.
T-shirt idea. I'm
homie.
going to sketch it.
Yeah, you can't
Like
just
a
be.
jetpack or
Yeah, you're not limited to the freaking.
That right? Agua
Third
Colonia and
dimension.
crystals.
You're not,
There you go.
You're not
1800.
limited. There you go. You're not limited to the third dimension. You're an interdimensional galactic bruja, homie.
I could kill a chicken here and on any other planet.
Oh, dude, you're killing space chickens.
Pa que sepan. Pa que sepan.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Brujo 101. Hit us with the rate and review. Thank you guys for the beautiful messages that you send to my DMs and to Tanya's DMs. We really appreciate them. And again, just stay blessed. That sounds so corny, but fuck
Hashtag
it.
blessed.
Hashtag blessed AF.
Stay grateful.
Stay grateful. I love that. Stay intentional. Stay grateful.
There you go.
And you know what? Ask questions.
Definitely.
Because don't believe everything you hear.
Exactly.
Do your own research. And again, thank you. Cannot thank you guys enough.
There you
Trust
go.
yourself.
Trust yourself. Thanks.